Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun, let us march on till victory is won.
Thanks, Paul Grosvenor. Please welcome the President and CEO of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, A. Shawnice Washington.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Board of Directors and staff of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, welcome to the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation's annual Phoenix Awards Dinner. For many of you, this event is a yearly tradition, and we are grateful for your continued presence and support, and we are honored to welcome new attendees at what has become a can't-miss opportunity to meet and honor the individuals whose accomplishments have made an enduring impact on our nation and will undoubtedly influence generations to come. The Phoenix Awards Dinner is meaningful not only because it serves as a way to uplift and recognize some of our nation's greatest luminaries, it is also significant because your attendance supports our educational and fellowship programs, which are critical to our mission of developing leaders, informing policy, and educating the public. This year marks the 50th anniversary of 1963, a defining year of the Civil Rights Movement. Civil rights pioneer Fannie Lou Hamer once pondered the question, "If I am truly free, who can tell me how much of my freedom I can have today?" The Congressional Black Caucus Foundation is pushing the boundaries of how we define our freedom by sustaining and building on the civil rights achievements of the past, creating new pathways to opportunity through education, social and economic initiatives, and nurturing future leaders. This year, 2013, is also a defining moment as it has brought into clear focus that our work is far from done. Thus, our theme for the conference is "It Starts With You." As we confront old battles and new efforts to block progress, we are charged with renewing our commitment to freedom and equality for all. To quote Fannie Lou Hamer again, "We might be sick and tired of being sick and tired, but we will not be deterred." The spirit of 1963 lives in us all, and we must rise to the occasion and the moment by renewing the movement. We are just getting started. Throughout the evening, you'll hear more about the CBCF and the Congressional Black Caucus efforts to ensure we are moving our nation closer to its great promise. A key ingredient to the Foundation's success and ability to carry out this mission is the dedication of our board members. I am honored to serve under their leadership and grateful for their commitment of time, expertise, and resources. Right now, I am delighted to introduce our MCs for this evening, and we are definitely in for a treat. Wendell Pierce has brought to life some of the most riveting characters on the big screen, including lead roles in 2 HBO shows filmed in the home states of our AOC co-chairs, The Wire and Trend. And as host of News Nation with Tamron Hall on MSNBC, Tamron brings her own unique style to covering the news. She's also applying her signature reporting and personal experience to a new challenge as host of Deadline, Crime with Tamron Hall on Investigation Discovery. Please welcome Tamron Hall and Wendell Pierce.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Come on, this is Tamron Hall. Y'all can do better than that. Good evening. Let's hear it for Tamron Hall.
And this, of course, is Wendell Pierce. Let's give it up to the man, the legend.
Ooh.
It is truly an honor to be here with you as we celebrate the Congressional Black Caucus, recognize the achievements of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, and reflect on the significant contributions of tonight's honorees to our past, our present, and certainly our future.
Founded in 1976, the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation has a rich history of developing new leaders and inspiring existing leaders to navigate uncharted waters, challenge the status quo, and dare to realize a vision of this great nation that fulfills its promises of equality, justice, and prosperity for all.
Tonight, we proudly continue that tradition. We know that, Wendell, as we think about the civil rights movement, it has always been about not just imagining new possibilities, but doing something and all of us working together for change.
That's right, because we all know the arc of history bends towards justice, but it doesn't bend on its own. We have to make it happen. This year's 50th anniversary of the March on Washington is a reminder of the power of organizing and how taking action can bring down barriers and change the course of history.
And Wendell, we know you're an example of that power. I don't know if a lot of you know, we know that he's a Hollywood star, a television star, but after Hurricane Katrina, Wendell started the Pontchartrain Park Community Development Corp in his own hometown to provide green and sustainable homes for those so many who had lost everything.
Thank you.
Yay,
Thank you very
Wendell.
much. Thank you, Tamron. I see you did your homework,
I did indeed.
the Class A journalist that you are. We have to remember that we came where we came from, and sometimes tragedy or other events present opportunities and opportunities for leadership and challenge us to all step up.
Absolutely, and there have been several events in just the past few months that have served as poignant reminders that we must remember our history and connect it to present time. And this year's honorees are compelling reminders of what we as individuals and as a collective organization, as a force, how we can make a difference together.
Indeed. And that's why tonight we honor the legacy of the powerhouse and trailblazing legal advocate, Elaine Jones.
The tireless servant leadership of the representative from Maryland's 7th Congressional District, Congressman Elijah Cummings.
Yes.
There he is right there, by the way.
Yes, Congressman.
Hi, sir.
And of course, the incomparable visionary leader and humanitarian, the former President, William Jefferson Clinton.
And we honor the spirit of 1963, embodied by the pivotal actions and changes that it inspired.
So we have a great evening tonight. We have a great lineup, and if you're not already excited, let me add the fact that, did I mention President Barack Obama will also be joining us here tonight?
I see that got everyone's attention, even those people still milling about trying to find their seats. But nevertheless, it's been a phenomenal week organizing, networking, and refocusing on the priorities of our communities and this nation. I've heard such incredible things about what's happened at the conference, honestly, this week and the past few days. And today, we promise, will be no exception to what you've all experienced all week long.
And well, as you and I both know, success doesn't happen without hard work. The heavy lifting often happens behind the scenes.
That is so true. And the 2013 annual Legislative Conference co-chairs should certainly be proud. They are both known for shaking up things on the Hill.
So please join us in welcoming the Congresswoman Donna Edwards of Maryland and my Congressman from Louisiana, the Congressman Cedric Richmond.
Tamron and Wendell, and thank you, Congressman Richmond, for being such a vital and dedicated partner in this planning process. Working with you to launch this work has been an instrumental week of dialogue, networking, celebration, and reflection. It's been refreshing and renewing.
Thank you, Congresswoman Edwards. I valued our partnership so much over these past months. It's been amazing to see the annual legislative conference come together this week.
Our commemoration of the spirit of 1963 this evening reflects the seriousness with which the CBC takes its responsibility to ensure that, in the words of our poet Maya Angelou, we can be changed by what happens to us, but we refuse to be reduced by it. For the past 40 years, the CBC has taken a defiant stance in the face of great adversity, and to forge ahead and develop the ranks of leaders and foot soldiers for certain battles ahead. I'm so proud to be a part of these efforts and fulfill the legacy of the Congressional Black Caucus.
As a nation, we are facing a pivotal moment in time. The conference stressed the urgency of the critical issues that we must address to move our communities forward. During the nearly 80 workshops and town hall sessions, we explored the implications of the recent Supreme Court decision affecting the Voting Rights Act, affirmative action, unemployment, and health care.
We also reflected and prayed at this morning's prayer breakfast. And tonight, we celebrate the work of the foundation and the contributions of our honorees. We're grateful to all who played a vital role in the success of this year's conference. So many have worked diligently to make this week happen, and we want to especially acknowledge the work of the foundation and its staff.
We hope that you've benefited from the activities this week and leave here ready to put words into action. We are, as Wendell Pierce stated earlier, at a moment that requires each of us to step up and confront the forces that seek to stop our progress by blocking access to the ballot, denying access to health care, and obstructing the legislative process. Republicans have drawn a line in the sand and are unwilling to work together in the interest of the American people. We must respond accordingly. And the only way that we can do that is to make sure that we are all engaged, not just with what's happening here in Washington, but in our communities back at home.
Now, indeed, we're engaged in many battles all across the country, and we won't be moved. We will not be discouraged, nor will we stand by and be complacent in the face of gross injustice. We're going to stand our ground on voting rights, on criminal justice, on health care, and on jobs. We're just getting started, and it starts with you. It starts with me, and it starts with us.
Look, this way.
Yes.
Please join me in welcoming the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation Board, Congressman Shaka Fattah.
It is an honor and an extraordinary privilege to now lead the board of directors of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. The foundation is engaged in critical work on health, economic development, promoting equality in education, and also promoting financial literacy and entrepreneurship. Our reach continues to grow as our programs and initiatives make strides into more communities and provide a gateway to opportunity for young and aspiring leaders. We are also engaged in new efforts, including one that we announced at the beginning of this ALC, to invest millions of dollars, $5 million, in African-American owned banks, which will increase the availability of loans for small businesses and individuals in our communities. The annual legislative conference remains a critical part of our mission to educate the public and inform public policy. It also offers a unique opportunity for us to come together every year to build on our strengths collectively and to galvanize ourselves for the work and the toil ahead. We have gathered once again in a moment of history that is testing our will and testing our resolve. Important conversations happened this week, and they must continue. What do we do in the aftermath of the Zimmerman verdict, the Supreme Court's Voting Act decision? How do we address unemployment and get our communities more engaged in entrepreneurship and work opportunities? These are serious challenges. It may appear that the cards are in some ways stacked against us, that the future is challenged. But 50 years ago, the brave, courageous activists in 1963 joined together, united in their commitment to justice and jobs. And back then, there was no reference point from which they were trying to create. But in the face of racial oppression and violence, they endured. Our commitment from this conference must take similar action. If we don't leave this week committed to a better future for our kids and our community, then we have not used our time wisely. Time is too valuable a resource to waste. Now is the time, and we should leave this week ready to roll up our sleeves, to stand up in the fight for justice and jobs. What we do next, that is the question that we are here to answer, and that is our charge and our challenge. In the words of Dr. King, we refuse to believe that the bank of justice is bankrupt. We refuse to believe that there are insufficient funds in the great vaults of opportunity of this nation. And so the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, partnering with the Congressional Black Caucus, we are committed to moving America forward and moving this agenda forward. My colleague, Congresswoman Marcia Fudge, chair of the CBC, has been fearless in articulating that vision. Please welcome Congresswoman from the great state of Ohio, Marcia Fudge.
Thank you, Chairman Fattah. The theme of this year's annual legislative conference, It Starts With You, and tonight's recognition of the spirit of 1963 implores us to answer the question often posed by my esteemed colleague, Representative John Lewis. If not us, then who? If not now, then when? This week's conference presented us with an opportunity to reflect on our gains, losses, and the fierce urgency of now. Tonight, we recommit ourselves to the challenges we continue to confront. Tonight, we remember and honor the blood shed by our forefathers and foremothers to secure our rights to full citizenship. Tonight, we honor the faith and fearlessness of those who stood in the face of adversity to pave a new path for our nation. We have traveled down a long road, but the journey isn't over. We have no choice but to act. Martin Luther King Jr. recognized this uncompromising need for action. As he so eloquently stated, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. We have a responsibility to amplify our collective voices and ensure that every American understands that the decisions made by the U.S. Supreme Court matter. The senseless death of Trayvon Martin, Jordan Davis, and the scores of other Black men matter. Changes to voter identification laws matter, and we matter. That is why the Congressional Black Caucus is as committed today as we were in 1971 to being a voice for the voiceless and standing as the undeniable conscience of the Congress. We will not be moved and we will not back down. As we reflect on this responsibility, I want to lift up in memory several of our colleagues whose lives served as an example of the spirit and tenacity we are honoring this evening. Our dear friend and colleague, Cardis Collins, was the first African-American woman to represent Illinois in Congress. She led the CBC from 1979 to 1981 and was a powerful advocate for women's health, protecting welfare and safety net programs. She also took on the cause of universal health insurance and gender equity in college sports. Julius Chambers was a pioneering civil rights lawyer and crusader for equality. Undeterred even after his law office was set on fire and his car and home were bombed. Among his landmark cases was Swan v. the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Board of Education, which led to integration of Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools. A giant in New York City politics is Bill Lynch. He was the mastermind behind the historic 1989 mayoral campaign of David Dinkins. Lynch was a sought-after Democratic consultant who mentored young leaders and served as an advisor to Congressman Charlie Rangel and the presidential campaigns of Jesse Jackson and John Kerry. We will not forget the contributions of Cardis Collins, Julius Chambers, and Bill Lynch. We are grateful for their service and for their families, who we know have sacrificed to allow us to benefit from their leadership. As I conclude, I invite Congressman Clyburn and Congressman Fattah to the stage that we may honor the life and achievements of another fine American and former CBC member, the late Bill Gray.
Thank you very much, Congressman Fudge. When I was elected Majority Whip, I became only the second African American to be so honored. Bill Gray was the first, and he became a valuable and trusted mentor and friend. I am honored to join my colleagues in recognizing his contributions. Bill was not just a good friend, We shared a special bond, and I was honored to have him participate in my swearing-in ceremony. Representative Gray was an educator, pastor, and transformational leader. He was first elected to Congress in 1978 and served his constituents of Philadelphia and the nation with distinction. As many of you know, Bill was not afraid to get down in the trenches and fight for the downtrodden. From fair housing to economic development to educational opportunities, he was a force for social justice and equality. I miss him, and I know many of you do also. But we can find solace in this fact that his legacy lives on and is one from which future generations will benefit greatly.
Bill Gray and I shared a special bond, having both served the citizens of Philadelphia in the 2nd Congressional District. During his tenure in Congress, Bill Gray chaired the powerful Budget Committee and authored legislation that led to the Comprehensive Anti-Apartheid Act of 1986, which imposed economic sanctions on South Africa and called for the release of President Nelson Mandela. His leadership on South Africa was a critical factor in dismantling the apartheid state. Also, Bill Gray was the first freshman to pass legislation in his first term that created the African Development Bank. After he left the Congress, Bill went on to serve as president and CEO of the United Negro College Fund, where he made his mark there as well. He raised over $1.6 billion to send young people to college throughout our country. But in Philadelphia, he remained rooted in the community, serving as the senior pastor of Bright Hope Baptist Church until 2007. And through his continued leadership on issues facing underserved and middle-class Americans. Bill Gray was a great congressman, but he was a great friend and an advocate. I miss him along with many of my colleagues and find inspiration in the time that we shared and the example that he set during his time in public service. We want to acknowledge the president of Congressman Gray's family. And Marcia Fudge, the chairwoman, will come and we will pay respects.
If Congressman Gray's family would please stand, we'd appreciate it. Where are you? His wife and his sons are here with us today. Congressman Gray lived a life of service and encouraged young people and all of us to do the same. We thank you.
This evening's invocation will be given by the Honorable Judge Greg Mathis.
Did they give me a mic that works? You're gonna get 30 days. I know many of you are wondering why they would select a judge to give the invocation instead of a clergyman. Well, let me just remind some and tell others that in the Old Testament, God used judges as spiritual leaders as well. In fact, one of God's greatest servants, Samuel, he was a prophet and a judge. And he also traveled and had people travel to him to solve small disputes as they do on my show. So when you get ready to be cute about your cousins that you see on my show, remember Samuel had to hear the small disputes as well. Well, the evening is getting late and our stomachs are empty, so I'm going to tell you, as the voters should tell their Tea Party congressmen who get in the way of our progress, we won't be here long. Let us pray. Dear God, accept our petition. Fill us with the food of life. Fill us with the food of health. Bless our family and ourselves with health, safety, and prosperity. And we ask, dear God, that you would bless our congresspersons and our policymakers with the vision and the wisdom so that they will be a blessing to our nation. These and other blessings we ask in the God of all with our eternal praise and glory. Amen. Thank you.
Good evening. On behalf of the Congressional Black Caucus spouses, thank you for joining us this evening and your continued support of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. As chair of the CBC spouses, I am proud to represent this vibrant and energetic group and share with you how we support the mission of the CBCF. Like you, the CBC spouses wear multiple hats as parents, professionals, business owners, and community leaders. But in the role of congressional spouses, we know better than anyone else the dedication and the commitment required of a member of Congress. We witness every day the many ways that public and community service can bear fruit in the lives of those in need and for the country as a whole. Through our work with the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, CBC spouses are striking a mighty blow to the many obstacles faced by our community and meeting the challenges they present by educating the next generation of leaders and investing in the future of our great nation. The CBC spouses offer annual scholarship opportunities in the performing arts, visual arts, and education. CBC spouses are also actively engaged in community service. Projects including outreach programs held at the conference each year. Since its inception, the CBC spouses awarded more than $9 million in scholarships to deserving students across this country. Please join me in recognizing members of the Congressional Black Caucus spouses for all that they have accomplished this past year. Spouses, please stand to be recognized. Thank you for all that you do.
Now, most of y'all know I'm from New Orleans. So now this is the New Orleans section of the program.
Who dat, nation?
You know it. For New Orleans-born Stephanie and Marlon Jordan, musical talent runs in the family. They are a part of one of the musical genius families of New Orleans. And Stephanie's signature trademark is singing jazz standards from the big band era and the critically acclaimed tribute to Lena Horne that she did in her debut CD. And she also has a one-woman show. Lena Horne, as you might know, performed at the March on Washington and was among the artists, along with Harry Belafonte and Ozzie Davis, one of my mentors, Sidney Poitier. They were all there on the front lines of the movement.
Stephanie's brother, trumpeter Marlon Jordan, is a music phenomenon in his own right. Marlon, along with jazz legend Wynton Marsalis and Terrence Blanchard, studied music in the Jordan home. An accomplished classical musician as well, Marlon has performed solo with the New Orleans Symphony Orchestra and headline concerts featuring Miles Davis, Wynton Marsalis, and George Benson. Not bad company at all.
Not at all. So come on, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and give a warm, warm welcome to Stephanie and Marlon Jordan.
It's such an honor to sing this tribute to Lena Horne. You know, she put her career on the line. She was right on the side of Martin Luther King and Medgar Evers and all of the wonderful civil rights marchers who just went on in spite of it all. So I'm just so happy to sing this tribute to the great Lena Horne.
I get too hungry for dinner at 8. I love the theater, but I never come late. I never bother with people I hate. That's why the lady is a tramp. I don't like crap games with barons and earls. Won't go to Harlem in ermine and pearls. Won't dish the dirt with all the rest of the girls. That's why the lady is a tramp. I like the free, fresh wind in my hair, life without care. I'm broke, that's oak. Hey, California, it's cold and it's damp. That's why the lady is a tramp. The beach is divine. I love the ball games, the bleachers are fine. I get the columns and I read every line. That's why the lady is a tramp. I love a prize fight if it's not a fake. I adore the roaring on Central Park's lake. I go to opera and I stay wide awake. That's why the lady is a tramp. The green grass under my shoes. What can I lose? I'm fat, I'm all alone when I blow out my lamp. That's why the lady is, that's why this lady is, that's why the lady is a
That was a signature song for Lena Horne. It was a #1 hit when she stole it from Frank Sinatra and turned it into her signature song. This next song I'd like to sing, you know, Lena was a beautiful lady, and when she went to Hollywood, they told her she was a little bit too light to be black. And, you know, they couldn't quite figure out what to do with her. And so they put this song in a movie, and they had somebody else mouth in the words. But it was her beautiful voice.
Fish gotta swim, birds gotta fly. I've gotta love one man till the day that I die. I just can't help loving that man of mine. Maybe he's lazy, maybe he's slow, maybe I'm crazy, maybe I know. Well, I just can't help loving that man of mine. when he goes away, that's a rainy day. But when he comes back, the world is fine. He can stay gone as late as can be. A home without him ain't no home to me. I just can't help loving that man of mine. Well, I can't help loving that man of mine. There's no sun up in the sky, stormy weather. Since my man and I ain't together, keeps raining all the time. My life is bad, gloom and misery everywhere, stormy weather, and I just can't seem to get my poor self together. Keeps raining all the time. Since he went away, the blues walked in and met me. If he stays away, oh, a rocking chair will get me. All I do is pray the Lord above will let me walk in the sun once more. I can't go on. Everything I have in life is gone. It's stormy weather, and I just can't seem to get my poor self together. Keeps raining all the time. Since he went away, the blues walked in and met me. If he stays away, Oh, a rocking chair will get me. All I do is pray the Lord above will let me walk in the sun once more. I can't go on. Everything I have in life is gone. It's stormy weather, and I just can't seem to get my poor self together. Keeps raining all the time. Keeps raining all the stormy weather. On a clear day, rise and look around you, and you might see just who you are. On a clear day, how it will astound you with the glow of your being outshines every star you feel part of, every mountain, sea, and shore. You might hear from far and near a world you've never heard before, but on that clear day, on that clear day, you might see forever and ever and evermore. I never cared much for moonlit skies. I never winked back at fireflies. But now that the stars are in your eyes, I'm beginning to see the light. I never cared much for afterglow, the candlelight or the mistletoe. But now that the lamp is way down low, I'm beginning to see the light. Used to ramble through the park, shadow boxing in the dark. Then you came in, caused a spark, that's the three of on fire now. Well, I never made love by lantern shine. I never saw rainbows in my wine. But now that your lips are burning mine, I'm beginning to see the light. Shadow boxing in the dark. Then you came in, caused a spark. That's the three of on fire now. Well, I never made love by lantern shine. I never saw rainbows in my wine. But now that your lips are burning mine, I'm beginning to see the light. Come fly with me, come fly, let's fly away. If you could use that exotic booze, well, there's a bar in far Bombay. Come fly with me, let's take off in the blue. Come fly with me, let's go down to Peru. In Lama Land, there's a one-man band, and he'll do his flute for you. It's so perfect for that flying honeymoon. Once I get you up there, where the air is rarefied, you'll just lie starry-eyed. Once I get you up there, I'll be holding you so near. You might hear angels cheer, 'cause we're together. Oh, weather-wise, it's such a love Just say the words and we'll beat the birds down to Acapulco Bay. It's so perfect for that flying honeymoon. They say, come fly with me. Take to the skies with me. Come fly with me, baby, let's fly away.
Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Congressman Charles Rangel and Congresswoman Maxine Waters.
Today, we unveiled the statue of Nelson Mandela at the South African Embassy. And it is truly an honor to be here with you tonight and to stand with my dear friend, Charlie Rangel, as we pay tribute to Nelson Mandela and his lifelong struggle for global peace, equality, and freedom. Mandela began challenging the social constructs of apartheid in South Africa as a young student. He joined the National African Congress in 1942 and became actively engaged in the anti-apartheid movement. For the next 20 years, Mandela directed peaceful, nonviolent acts of defiance against the South African government.
Shh, be quiet, please. Maxine, no one can challenge the work that you've done to bring freedom and justice to all the people in South Africa, both in the state legislature in California and as a member of the Congressional Black Caucus in the United States Congress. Nelson Mandela was arrested and charged for political advocacy multiple times. He began to believe that armed struggle was possibly the only way that he could bring freedom to his country. And after orchestrating a 3-day national strike, Mandela was arrested and charged and sentenced to 5 years in prison, brought to trial again in 1963 with 10 other ANC leaders, and was sentenced to life for political offenses, including sabotage. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years of his life jailed, incarcerated with few visitors, harsh work conditions, and exposure to disease. But imprisonment did not defeat his spirit of activism. And while in prison, he led hunger strikes and advocated for better conditions for all of the prisoners.
Efforts by the South African government to isolate Mandela had instead transformed him into a potent symbol of Black resistance. All across the country, brothers and sisters recognize the connection between our struggle for civil rights here and the plight of Black South Africans all over South Africa. Our movements are inextricably linked together. So as we mark the 50th anniversary of the historic March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom this year, we cannot overlook the anti-apartheid movement and the contributions of Mandela. Local and international pressure for his relief prompted the South African government to participate in several talks with Mandela. Members of the CBC, including myself, were actively involved in this effort, including Congressman Rangel and Lewis, who were both arrested multiple times at anti-apartheid rallies, Walter Fauntroy and Eleanor Holmes Norton, along with the Free South Africa movement, and Ron Dellums and Bill Gray's championing of legislation in Congress that struck at the heart of the South African apartheid regime.
Nelson's Mandela release from prison in February of 1990 marked the beginning of increased pressure that was put on the South African government for the right to vote, for blacks, and constitutional reforms. So in 1994, Mandela was inaugurated as South Africa's first black president. And during his tenure, he signed into law a new constitution that guaranteed the rights of minorities, freedom of expression, and established a strong central government based on majority rule. Following his presidency, Mandela has committed himself to addressing the world's toughest issues by promoting peace and women's equality, demanding an end to the atrocity and the humanitarian crisis, and promoting decency. If ever there was a cause for someone to be subjected to statehood, it was Nelson Mandela.
Ladies and gentlemen, he remains one of the great moral and political leaders of our time. We're proud to honor the legacy of Mandiba Nelson Mandela.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 43 incomparable men and women who make up the Congressional Black Caucus of the 113th Congress. Representative John Conyers Jr., 13th District of Michigan, founding member. Representative Charles B. Rangel, 13th District of New York, founding member. Representative John Lewis, 5th District of Georgia. Representative Eleanor Holmes Norton, Delegate, District of Columbia. Representative Maxine Waters, 43rd District of California. Representative Sanford Bishop Jr., 2nd District of Georgia. Representative Corrine Brown, 3rd District of Florida. Representative James E. Clyburn, 6th District of South Carolina, Assistant Democratic Leader. Representative Eddie Bernice Johnson, 30th District of Texas. Representative Bobby Scott, 3rd District of Virginia. Representative Mel Watt, 12th District of North Carolina. Representative Benny G. Thompson, 2nd District of Mississippi. Representative Shaka Fatah, 2nd District of Pennsylvania. Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, 18th District of Texas. Representative Elijah E. Cummings, 7th District of Maryland. Delegate Donna M. Christensen, Virgin Islands. Representative Danny K. Davis, 7th District of Illinois. Representative Gregory W. Meeks, 6th District of New York. Representative Barbara Lee, 9th District of California. Representative William Lacey Clay, 1st District of Missouri. Representative David Scott, 13th District of Georgia. Representative G.K. Butterfield, 1st District of North Carolina, 1st Vice Chair, Congressional Black Caucus. Representative Emmanuel Cleaver II, 5th District of Missouri. Representative Al Green, 9th District of Texas. Representative Gwen Moore, 4th District of Wisconsin. Representative Yvette D. Clark, 9th District of New York, 2nd Vice Chair, Congressional Black Caucus. Representative Hank Johnson, 4th District of Georgia. Representative Andre Carson, 7th District of Indiana, Secretary, Congressional Black Caucus. Representative Donna F. Edwards, 4th District of Maryland. Representative Marcia L. Fudge, 11th District of Ohio. Representative Representative Karen Bass, 33rd District of California, Whip, Congressional Black Caucus. Representative Cedric Richmond, 2nd District of Louisiana. Representative Terry A. Sewell, 7th District of Alabama. Representative Frederica S. Wilson, 24th District of Florida. Representative Donald M. Payne Jr., 10th District of New Jersey. Representative Joyce Beatty, 3rd District of Ohio. Representative Stephen Horsford, 4th District of Nevada. Representative Hakeem Jeffries, 8th District of New York. Representative Mark Vesey, 33rd District of Texas. Representative Robin Kelly, 2nd District of Illinois.
Let's hear it once more for the 113th Congress Congressional Black Caucus.
Well, through lively performances of songs made famous by Diana Ross and the Supremes, Michael Jackson, Smokey Robinson, Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder. Tony-nominated Motown the Musical depicts the life story of the legendary Berry Gordy and his love affairs with music and Diana Ross.
Gordy's powerhouse Detroit music label produced hits and stars that shattered barriers and provided a soundtrack to pivotal moments of the civil rights movement.
Everybody say, yeah.
Yeah.
That's as far as I'm gonna go. And can I get a witness? Your love is like a heat wave. 1963 was a critical year for Motown when Berry Gordy perfected his method of producing music. Like the factory central to Detroit, Gordy's hit-making shop developed a reputation of assembly line efficiency in recording and releasing singles.
And that year, Motown released more songs and albums than it had previously done. And Motown sound emerged from the heart and soul of Black America and crossed over into the mainstream. Please take a moment and watch the screen for more on Motown's critical link to the civil rights movement.
As far as music was concerned, it was not about black or white, blue or green or whatever. It was about good music. My theory was it's what's in the grooves that counts, and that's what we fought for every day, to get music to all people. How Motown fit in with the civil rights movement is very interesting. There was social integration before there was political integration. This is one of the things that Dr. King could see long before he came to Motown to explain to me that whether I knew it or not, we were partners. He felt that Motown was helping his fight, and we felt that Dr. King embodied the philosophy of Motown. And so I ended up putting out 3 of his albums. We not only became good friends, but he had a great deal of confidence in me and felt that Motown was bringing people together of all races, and it was helping him do his job. So that was incredibly wonderful to me. Doing Motown the musical on Broadway was one of the greatest thrills of my life. In our musical, we show how Motown started and how we did what we did and under the circumstances in which we did it. There were a lot of people that were fighting for the same cause, and there were a lot of different roads to freedom for all of us. We're grateful to all people who had a part in bringing about the changes that really, really needed to be brought about.
Woo!
Yes.
Okay. Get ready, because now here to share a portion of the love story from one of the top-grossing Broadway productions of the season. Please help me welcome Felicia LeKay as the legendary, one of my idols, Diana Ross, and Brandon Victor Dixon as the iconic Berry Gordy.
Everything is so beautiful here in Paris, especially the language. Here they call me an artiste noir. At home, I'm just a black singer.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's all about semantics. It's not what people say, it's what they mean. We grew up not wanting to be called black. Well, from now on, I'm calling you black. Let's give it a meaning of love.
Well, does that mean I can call you black?
You better. If it means love.
But you're my manager, my boss, and you own the company. What if it doesn't work?
One of the most important things in my life is to make you the biggest star in the world. And I will never let our relationship get in the way of that, I promise.
I'm the luckiest girl in the world. Why me?
Listen. Like sweet morning dew, I took one look at you, and it was plain to see you were my destiny.
With arms open wide, I threw away my pride. I'll sacrifice for you, dedicate my life to you. I'll go where you lead, always there in time of need.
Never now lose my will, you'll be there to push me up the hill, and there's no looking back for us. We got love shown up, that's enough. You're all I need
to get by. Oh, black.
Like an eagle protects his nest, for you I'll do my best. Stand by you like a tree, and dare nobody to try and move me.
Darling, in you I found straight for hours torn down. Don't know what's in store, but together we can open up any door. Just you is everything, and it's like a year.
Make a man out of a soul who didn't have a goal, 'cause we got the right foundation, and with love and determination, Thank you all very much. Now, as you saw in the video, and as you all know already, Motown was a little record company that went on to become the biggest independent record label in the history of the business. Berry Gordy in that small house gathered those artists together and created a movement that went out and changed the world. Motown literally had a direct impact on the lives of each and every individual in this room, and that is a huge and extraordinary accomplishment. But when, yes. But when Barry sat down with us and set out to put this story on stage, he said, you know, Motown was fortunately able to accomplish all of these wonderful, wonderful things, but really at the heart of it, it was a group of friends who got together to do what they loved, to have fun together, to create music and to help make each other's dreams come true. They poured their love into their music, into themselves, and into each other, and that's why it had such a vast impact. Now, our show focuses on Motown's 25th anniversary performance, which I'm sure everybody is familiar with. It's known most notably for Michael Jackson's iconic moonwalk. That's where he debuted the moonwalk. But what people don't really know is that Barry didn't want to go. He didn't even want to have the celebration, because at the time, the company was losing money. Things were very hard for Barry at the time, mostly because all of these artists who he had raised and groomed to become superstars had left the company. So he didn't want to go. As he says in this show, he said, you expect me to come look at these people, celebrate me, and tell me how much they love me for one night? And so our show really takes us on a reflective journey for Barry to take him back to look at all that he really did manage to accomplish. the relationships he formed, the family that he built, and to reflect upon that love, and to reflect upon the fact that true love is something that is there when people are with you, it's there as they grow, and if you truly love people, you also let them go when the time comes. And we needed a song in the show that would really capture that sentiment about family and about love and about growth and change. And so Barry, genius that he is, he sat down and penned a brand new song for the show that we're going to share for you this evening, and it's called Can I Close the Door?
After all the years of joy and pain that we've been through, no, I never saw a journey without you. You left me here with our memories while you found new discoveries. It's hard to fill this emptiness inside. Can I close the door on love? Can I say goodbye to all we dreamed of? We're like lyrics in a song. We've been right and we've been wrong. Can I close the door on love? I wanted to be the one to make them happy, the way they were dancing in the streets. I saw my father burst to cry, the joy he felt, the tears he cried. I wanted to bring that kind of joy, to build a love too strong to destroy. Can I close the door on love? Can I walk away from those I'm so proud? We're all lyrics in one song. This is where we all belong. Can I close the door on love? I wanted to be a knight in shining armor. I wanted to be, yes I did. I wanted to be a hero. I wanted to be. But there's a lesson that I've learned. Love expects nothing in return. Oh, destiny has pulled us apart. We're bound together in our hearts forever and goodbye, baby. Goodbye, baby. From those I'm proud of. We're like lyrics in a song. We've been right and we've been wrong. But can I close the door on love forevermore? Can I close the door? Just turn my back on love. Can I walk away from those I'm so proud of? We're all lyrics in one song. This is where we all belong. Can I close the door on love?
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Felicia LeKay.
If you know the lyrics, why don't you join in with us? Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place. If you can, reach reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place. If you can, just try. Take a little time out of your busy day to give encouragement to someone who's lost the way. When we talking to stone, if I ask you to share a problem that's not your own, we can change things if we start giving all to you. Reach out and touch somebody's hand. You know, this is the time when I typically come out into the audience and ask someone to sing with me, but we're going to do something a little bit differently tonight because there's someone very special here, me. So I'm going to ask the Eddie Kendrick singers to do a little solo for me. I got 4 wonderful backup singers, and I'm going to start off with Mariah. Here we go.
Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place. Oh, if you can.
Give it to him, Mariah.
Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place. If you can.
Come on, Christy.
Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place. If you can, reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place. If you can.
Trent, bring them home.
Reach out and touch somebody's hand.
Yeah.
Make this world a better place. I know you can.
Take them to church now, come on.
If you reach out and touch somebody's hand and make this world a better place. If you can.
Come on, John.
Reach out and touch somebody's hand. You make the world a better place any way that you can.
Come on, take it home.
Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place. Yeah, if you can.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Eddie Kendrick singers, give them a round of applause. Now I'm gonna ask that you do something very simple for me. Something as simple as 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna ask that you take the person's hands next to you, raise it high in the air, come on, and sway back and forth and sing these beautiful lyrics. I'm gonna count you in. 1, 2, 3. Reach out and touch. Louder.
Somebody's hand. Make this world a better place.
Keep it going.
Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place.
Come on. Take the music out, clear it right. Reach out and touch. Yes. Somebody's hand. All the way in the back.
This world
A better place. If you can, reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place. If you can,
just try.
if you see an old friend on the street and he's out, thank you. Remember his shoes can be your feet. Tell the place that you see is something that comes very naturally. We can take
And let's hear it for Felicia LeKay. Put your hands together.
And Brandon Victor Dixon, what a wonderful performance.
Oh, yes.
Very nice, incredible. Well, you know, one of the key aspects of success of the civil rights movement are the young people getting involved and putting their future and their lives on the line. From SNCC to other student-led movements, young people have always played a critical part in bringing about change.
Building a new generation of leaders is a key part of the CBCF's mission. And for more on the great work of the foundation, please welcome back the CBCF President and CEO, A. Shanice Washington.
The Congressional Black Caucus Foundation fulfills its mission by recruiting the best and the brightest of young leaders to be catalysts for change. Our internship and fellowship programs are designed to ensure a pipeline of African American leaders in community and public service. CBCF fellows, highly skilled professional men and women with advanced degrees, elevate the discourse on Capitol Hill by providing a diversity of ideas and values, expertise, and insight to influence and improve public policy. Fellows receive mentorship and vital experience at a critical juncture in their careers. Our fellowship programs provide fellows with a lifelong network of support as they pursue their careers in public policy and public service. Many of our fellows remain on the Hill and have advanced to leadership positions in congressional offices as well as committees. The Foundation's fellowship and internship programs continues to serve as a vital on-ramp to Capitol Hill for African Americans. I am pleased to introduce our newest class of Congressional Fellows. Mikhail Bayham, Office of Representative Bobby Rush. Thomas Brunette, Office of Representative Donna Christensen. Thomas Cuffey II, Office of Representative Frederica Wilson. M. Reese Everson, Office of Representative Bobby Scott. Janelle Johnson, Office of Representative Karen Bass. Jillian Johnson, Office of Representative Marcia Fudge. Alvina McQueen, Office of Representative Charles Rangel. Larkus Pickett, Office of Representative Shaka Fatah. Tiffany Robeson, Office of Representative Alcee Hastings. Remember these names, as I am sure we will hear from them in the future. For more on our leadership programs, please enjoy this short video.
For some of us, stellar academic preparation, adequate professional experience, and a genuine passion on the issues is not enough.
Summer for me was always really about working, so there was never an option for me to do an unpaid internship or to go somewhere and just get fantastic experience. A lot of my friends did things like that, but I always needed to make some money in the summer.
For some of us, we don't have a notable family name or Rolodex, or we don't have the resources to come to DC on our own dime to get the requisite experience. So these programs create opportunity.
My father was killed when I was 2 years old. I was raised by a single mother. At the age of 12, I began working, hoping to make enough money to get into a good college. 10 years later, the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation accepted me into their internship program. They brought me to Washington and provided me with a roof to sleep under, the financial means to survive in Washington, and an opportunity to work for the highest legislative body in the United States of America.
I applied to the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation because of the opportunity that I knew that it would give me. With the organization who was aimed at helping those in underserved communities, I was really drawn to that.
These programs bring together bright young people from diverse perspectives and world experiences. It affords them a seat at the table and gives them the opportunity to contribute to important policy discussions that not only impact people of color, but impacts all Americans.
When I think about it, I'm not sure where I would be had it not been for the internship program.
I looked for a job looked for recommendations for a job, and the office that I interned in gave me a job instead. And that was literally the most amazing blessing for me ever.
With the foundation providing housing, bi-weekly stipends, professional development, and the ability to be placed in a congressional office, it proved to be invaluable to me as a young man starting his professional career in Washington, D.C.
The support of the foundation, our program coordinators, there was a true CBC and CBC Foundation family there to support and help us along the way.
One of the things that I enjoyed most about the CBCF internship program was our interaction with the CBC members themselves. They talked to us about their college years, their aspirations, and we found as interns that they started out just like us.
Some of the skills that I think I gained from being a part of this program was enhanced public speaking, as well as the ability to lead among leaders.
The CBCF internship program has provided me with so many opportunities that I know that no matter how far along I get in life, my job is not done until I reach back and ensure that someone else has the same opportunity that I had.
The program that the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation offers was a direct lead-in for my job and now my career on the Hill.
I've said it over and over again before, I would not be where I am now professionally if it were not for the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation Fellowship Program.
The Congressional Black Caucus Foundation played a vital role in me being able to come to Washington, D.C. and start my professional career so early.
At this point, I've been on the Hill for almost 3 years, and I love every minute of it, and I'm confident that I would not have gotten this opportunity. I wouldn't be where I am without the internship that I had in the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation program.
When I look at where I've come from and what this program has done for me and where I am today, one can only be thankful and overwhelmed with joy, but also hope that there are so many more great things to come.
I was a CBCF intern.
I lead.
I serve.
Will you?
We are proud of the CBC Leadership Institute for Public Service and our many other accomplishments, but we need your ongoing participation and financial support to ensure the continued strength and viability of our public policy research, economic forums, and leadership development programs. On each of your tables, you will find a donor card, an envelope, for you to help us endow and ensure the ongoing work of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation at a time when efforts to turn back the clock escalate every single day. Know that we are deeply appreciative of your support and ask that you leave your contributions in the donation bins around the room. Or you can make a contribution via our mobile app at CBCF-ALC13 or on our website at cbcfinc.org. This has been a labor of love and an opportunity every day for me and my terrific staff to be guided by the words of Katherine Dunham, paraphrased. The question is not whether we can afford to invest in every person. It is whether we can afford not to. Thank you.
It's like I have my own theme music. Thank you, gentlemen. Well, Elaine R. Jones grew up knowing that one day she would advocate for the rights of others. She experienced firsthand the injustice of segregation in the South and committed herself to changing things for the better. After graduating law school, Elaine Jones dedicated her career to zealously defending the civil rights and liberties of all Americans. She established a distinguished record in her 32-year tenure with the NAACP League Defense Fund, first as a litigator, then as president and director counsel. With the exception of 2 years that she served as a special assistant to the Secretary of Transportation in the Ford administration, Elaine Jones worked with LDF, where she led landmark cases and efforts to ensure justice and equal access to education, housing, economic opportunities, and the full rights of citizenship. Ms. Jones was instrumental in the passage of the 1982 Voting Rights Act Amendment, the 1988 Fair Housing Act, and Civil Rights Restoration Act. The recipient of 13 honorary degrees and the Jefferson Medal of Freedom from her alma mater, President William Jefferson Clinton also presented Ms. Jones with the Eleanor Roosevelt Human Rights Award. Please enjoy this video that showcases the courage, sacrifice, and dedication of Elaine Jones.
From being the first African American on the American Bar Association Board of Governors, to being the first female president and director counsel of the NAACP Legal Defense and Education Fund, Elaine Jones has achieved many firsts in our nation's history. Elaine Ruth Jones was born on March 2, 1944, in Norfolk, Virginia. As a child, she was exposed to the racial realities of a segregated town and the broader civil rights landscape that came to define her generation. From a young age, Jones set her sights on becoming a lawyer and defending the rights that were, in many ways, denied to her. Overcoming widespread discrimination, Jones pursued her ambitions by becoming the first African American female to graduate from the University of Virginia School of Law. Although offered a job with Richard Nixon's law firm in New York, she followed her passion and joined LDF in 1970. Jones made great strides in 1972 when she became the first African American woman to defend death row inmates throughout the South. Just 2 years after graduating from law school, she found herself before the Supreme Court as counsel of record in the Furman versus Georgia case. The Supreme Court's decision in this landmark case ultimately nullified the death penalty in 37 states. As a rising star in LDF, Jones quickly earned a reputation as a champion for equality both in the courts and on the Hill. For years, she headed LDF's Washington office, where she proved to be an important catalyst in the fight to secure legislative landmarks and civil rights. She is also known for her unrelenting commitment to increasing racial diversity on the federal bench. In 1993, Jones became the first female president and director counsel of LDF. Under her leadership, LDF brought national attention to ongoing civil rights battles across the country. In Tulia, Texas, LDF fought the mass targeting of African American communities by law enforcement and secured a legal victory that overturned the unjust drug convictions of 38 defendants. With the help of then CBC Chair James Clyburn, LDF pushed to desegregate the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, the last all-white circuit court in the country. In 2003, LDF played a key role in the Supreme Court case, Grutter versus Bollinger, which upheld affirmative action in American universities. In 2004, Jones stepped down from her position as director counsel of LDF, leaving behind an extraordinary legacy with 34 years of service. Throughout her prominent career, Elaine Jones served as a role model, a distinguished officer of the court, and a champion for justice. It is with great honor that the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation celebrates Elaine Ruth Jones' significant accomplishments with the CBC Chair's Phoenix Award.
This award presented by Congresswoman Marsha Fudge.
It's my great pleasure to bring to you the Phoenix Award honoree, my friend Elaine Jones.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Thank all of you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have two and a half minutes. So let me say what I have to say, and move on. First, I want to thank the 23rd chair of the Congressional Black Caucus from the 11th District of Ohio, one dynamic leader, Marsha Fudge, for this singular honor. I also have the sense to know something else. Had anyone in the caucus objected, it would not be happening. So I do want to thank the entire Congressional Black Caucus for either affirmatively saying yes or for saying nothing at all. So thank you very, very much. I want to thank Chaka Fattah, the 2nd District of Pennsylvania, for his leadership of the foundation and for raising the money that it takes. Can't do it without the resources. But now let me tell you something. I have spent 35 years in the courts of this country on all of the issues impacting us. And if I had another 35 years to give it, I would. But now we have to depend on you. We have to depend on you. We've got, and this is the Phoenix Award. The phoenix means, the Greek mythology, is the bird that rises from the ashes and takes on the mantra of the ancestors and goes forward with the work. That is the phoenix. And so what I'm saying to you is we've been there with them taking away our rights. We thought we had the right to vote with the 15th Amendment in 1870. The men got the right to vote, the black men, and they went in their little tattered shoes and their little coats, and they voted. And they voted in 20 black members of Congress from 1870 to 1901, 20 they elected. But through all the devious methods, all of them lost their seats because they lost their constituency. The last one, Charles White, in 1901, January 29th, stood on the floor of the House of Representatives and said, "I'm the last one, but we black people are like the phoenix, and we shall rise again." That's what he said. 1901. It took 27 years for us to get another black person, Oscar DePriest from Illinois in 1928. It took 71 years to get another black person from the South, Barbara Jordan in 1972. Now, that's with the struggle for the Voting Rights Act. Now they're trying to take it away, folks. And we don't have 71 years to wait. Again, we've been there, we've done that. We've got to get busy. It takes political power and the exercise of the vote to have a Congressional Black Caucus. And so we're not going back. I want to thank all of you. I want to thank the organization, the Legal Defense Fund, which gave me the opportunity. Thank my sorors, Delta Sigma Theta, and all Greeks everywhere. I want to thank all of you, but continue to understand the fight is ours, it is on, and just like we were given the Voting Rights Act, we need to hand one to our progeny. Thank you, Dr. Savage, for coming out with me tonight. Thank all of you very, very much.
The first African-American legislator in Maryland history to be named Speaker pro tempore of the House of Delegates. Representative Elijah Cummings proudly serves the 7th Congressional District of Maryland. Born in Baltimore, Elijah E. Cummings has devoted his career to serving and uplifting the residents of Maryland. Prior to his election to the U.S. House of Representatives in 1996, Congressman Cummings provided 14 years of distinguished service in the Maryland House of Delegates. A lifelong public servant, Congressman Cummings is a tireless champion of home ownership, equitable access to quality health care, small business development, and affordable higher education. Throughout his career, Representative Cummings has demanded government accountability, preserve the dream of home ownership for families facing foreclosure, an advocate for policies that enable small businesses to grow and thrive. He is a ranking member of the powerful House Oversight and Government Reform Committee and a senior member of the Joint Economic Committee and the House Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure. Here's more on one of the most effective leaders of our time, public servant, father, and living inspiration, Congressman Elijah Cummings.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "Everyone can be great because everyone can serve." Congressman Elijah Eugene Cummings has dedicated his life to serving others and championing what he believes to be just. Guided by a path that is paved with unwavering dedication and deep convictions, he strives daily to empower and give voice to his constituents. Growing up with the values instilled in him during the Civil Rights Movement, he pursued higher education to become an agent of change within his community. He graduated from Howard University and went on to graduate from the University of Maryland School of Law before embarking on a career in public service in the Maryland House of Delegates. During his 14 years of service in Baltimore, Maryland, he strived to empower and uplift his constituents through economic growth, healthcare, and education reform. In 1995, he became the first African American in Maryland's history to be named Speaker Pro Tem. Cummings went on to dutifully serve as a champion for Maryland's 7th Congressional District in the U.S. House of Representatives. In his early years as a congressman, Cummings focused on education, crime prevention, and health care. He expanded internet access to public schools in his district to help advance learning. As a co-chair on the House AIDS Working Group, he authored the HIV Prevention Outreach Act of 1997, thereby helping to slow the spread of AIDS within communities. To prevent domestic abuse, he worked with other members of Congress in sponsoring the pivotal Violence Against Women Act of 1999 and went on to co-sponsor the Traffic Stop Statistics Study Act with the intent to hold law enforcement accountable for unwarranted harassment based on race. Most recently, he has concentrated his efforts in Congress on protecting Americans from the housing fallout and foreclosure crisis. In June 2013, the House passed the National Defense Authorization Act with an amendment introduced by Congressman Cummings, which was designed to expand home foreclosure protections for service members, veterans with disabilities, and their families under the Service Members Civil Relief Act. The passing of this legislation symbolized the culmination of a 2-year investigation by Cummings into illegal foreclosures affecting service members. Cummings' impact is felt far beyond the halls of the Capitol. He serves on numerous boards and commissions and frequently engages and challenges America's youth to push for a better future. He continues to advocate tirelessly on behalf of his constituents. In 9 terms as a congressman, he has served as a beacon of hope for a better, stronger future for all. The Congressional Black Caucus Foundation is proud to present Congressman Elijah Eugene Cummings with the Harold Washington Phoenix Award, recognizing his dedication to public service.
Congressman Cummings' work and service has been so exemplary that several notable individuals wanted to acknowledge his contributions and provided their own video tributes.
Elijah, I'd like to add my voice to the chorus of those who congratulate you this evening for receiving the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation Phoenix Award for your commitment to public service. Over the years, you have done tremendous work in protecting consumers and homeowners, in expanding access to quality, affordable health care, particularly dental care for many children living in low-income families. I want to thank you for partnering with me and Governor O'Malley here in Maryland to improve the quality of education and improving safety in our communities. You have been a real champion for the public here in Maryland and across this country. So again, tonight, I say congratulations, my friend Elijah.
Congratulations, Congressman Elijah Cummings, on a really well-deserved award. In your 17 years representing the people of Maryland and Washington, you've used your leadership in the House to advocate the cause of those who suffer from discrimination and to defend the policies that actually expand opportunity and strengthen our middle class. So on behalf of a very grateful people, thank you, Elijah Cummings, for making Maryland proud.
Elijah, my dear friend, you've been an outstanding leader, legislator, and our country is fortunate to have you in public service. Congratulations on the receipt of this well-deserved honor.
Good evening. It is a great personal and official privilege to join Chairwoman Marcia Fudge, our distinguished colleagues, and all of you at this year's Phoenix Awards dinner to recognize the inspiring leadership of the Congressional Black Caucus. For more than 40 years, the extraordinary members of the Congressional Black Caucus have served as the conscience of the Congress. For 17 years, Congressman Elijah Cummings has stood at the heart of the CBC's fight for justice, and how proud we are of him. A son of sharecroppers, Congressman Cummings shook the halls of Maryland's General Assembly as one of its finest orators, a resounding voice for the poor, the workers, and the underserved of Baltimore and Maryland. A dedicated public servant, Elijah always stands up for the hardworking families of Maryland's 7th District. A fearless leader, he commands the respect of members of Congress on both sides of the aisle, as well as the respect of the President of the United States, Barack Obama. A great champion, he has worked nearly 2 decades to expand opportunity, secure fairness, and advance justice and civil rights. He did so by working to make health care a right, not a privilege, for all Americans, by protecting our brave service members and military families from the fear of foreclosure, by ensuring that truth always prevails and that the government always works for the American people. And there can be no greater proof of his devotion to our country than his work on behalf of America's children. Elijah often says, our children are the living messages that we send to a future we will never see. It is an enduring message symbolized by the Phoenix Award that he so rightly receives tonight. To Maya and the Cummings family, thank you for sharing Elijah with a grateful nation. To all of you at the Congressional Black Caucus, thank you for your leadership and for recognizing Congressman Cummings with this well-deserved honor. Thank you.
This award presented by Congressman Emanuel Cleaver II and CBCF board member Pamela Alexander.
There is one man among the members of the Congressional Black Caucus who stands up every morning realizing that a part of his agenda is defending the administration from unfair and often untrue allegations. And no one could have been better at that role than our awardee, Representative Elijah Cummings.
Good evening, everyone. It is certainly my honor and my privilege to be here. And I first want to thank the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation and the Congressional Black Caucus for this very, very, very high honor, and I am indeed humbled. You know, as I was sitting with my wife, Maya, this evening, I was telling her that only God could create this life. Only God could create a life where somebody starts out as the son of two former sharecroppers, struggling hard, and then to rise up to the Congress of the United States of America. Only God. I'm very pleased to be joined tonight by my wife Maya, who I love tremendously, and who is my rock. I'm also very pleased to be joined by 4 of my 6 brothers and sisters. And I'm also very pleased to be joined by my 2 daughters, Idea and Jennifer, and many, many, many friends, and all of our Maryland folks. I'm going to be very brief, but I wanted to thank you for this high award. To the Congressional Black Caucus, I am so, so very proud to be a part of this organization. A lot of people look at the Congressional Black Caucus and say, well, they do good politics. No, we don't do good politics. We do good policy because our policy is born out of our pain, our passion to do our purpose. That's what it's about. And so, I want to thank all of you for this opportunity. And every morning when I get up, I ask God for one thing. I say, God, allow me to see me like you see me. And when these kinds of things happen, it reminds me of how great He is. And to all of you, there's something that each and every one of you allow me to do. You know, when we come on this earth, we come, I do believe, for a purpose. And those purposes change from time to time. But what you allow me to do is carry out my purpose, and you allow me to feed my soul, to be who God made me to be. And I could not do it without the 43 wonderful members of the Congressional Black Caucus, my family, and each one of you. And so may God bless, and thank you very much.
The first Democratic president since Franklin D. Roosevelt to win a second term in office, 42nd President William Jefferson Clinton. He led the nation through its most sustained period of economic growth and expansion in decades. Born in a little town, as you well know, called Hope, Arkansas, and from a working-class family, President Clinton committed himself to a life and career of public service at an early age. At only 32 years of age, he was elected governor of the state of Arkansas. During his presidency, the nation experienced record low rates of unemployment and inflation, high rates of home ownership, and improved economic equality. Committed to improving the lives of families and the working poor, President Clinton enacted the Family and Medical Leave Act, the first bill that he signed in office, and made critical investments in education to increase college attendance rates and preparation for disadvantaged students. Clinton's presidency also marked a new era of diversity in government, with more African Americans appointed to cabinet and other high-level positions than any other previous administration. President Clinton also took bold action to promote racial reconciliation and social justice through his One America initiative, designed to close the opportunity gaps for minorities and underserved communities. As a private citizen, he founded the Clinton Foundation, its mission to alleviate poverty, improve global health, strengthen economies, and protect the environment, and continues his commitment to not only be a citizen of the world, but also a positive force for change in the world. Please watch this video for more on the most transformational leader of our time, the 42nd President of the United States, William Jefferson Clinton.
30 years before William Jefferson Clinton became the 42nd President of the United States, he watched Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech on television from his childhood home in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Inspired by Dr. King's words, he dedicated his life to achieving positive change in America and throughout the world. During his presidency, the nation enjoyed one of the most economically prosperous periods in American history. The crime rate reached its lowest point in 26 years, while his policies promoted higher standards in education. Bill Clinton's leadership and commitment to meaningful change led to the implementation of many important initiatives, including the State Children's Health Insurance Program, which provided access to health care to millions of uninsured children. Since leaving office in 2001, he has remained an active voice in American politics, and he has spearheaded life-changing initiatives set forth by the Bill, Hillary, and Chelsea Clinton Foundation. In 2002, he founded the Clinton HIV/AIDS Initiative, now the Clinton Health Access Initiative, to strengthen healthcare systems in countries with limited resources while helping people living with HIV/AIDS receive proper treatment and care. Because of this work, more than 5 million people living with HIV/AIDS have gained access to low-cost, high-quality AIDS treatment. At home, the Alliance for a Healthier Generation has improved exercise and nutrition programs in 18,000 schools across all 50 states to combat childhood obesity. Expanding on his longtime commitment to environmental conservation, the Clinton Climate Initiative was established to find solutions that address the root causes of climate change. By 2020, in partnership with the C40 Climate Leadership Group, they've set a goal to reduce greenhouse gases annually by 248 million tons. In 2005, President Clinton founded the Clinton Global Initiative, bringing together thousands of corporations, leaders, and activists to help foster solutions to issues afflicting the international community. To date, its members have helped more than 400 million people in over 180 countries. Throughout his distinguished career, President Clinton has built upon his childhood ambitions to become one of the most trusted leaders of our time. His numerous accomplishments will serve as inspiration to future generations to come. The Congressional Black Caucus Foundation is honored to present President Bill Clinton with the CBCF Chair's Phoenix Award in recognition of his innumerable contributions to the world at large.
This award presented by Congressman Shaka Fattah.
President Clinton sends his regrets that he could not this evening join us in person. Please watch this video message.
Thank you for this wonderful honor. 20 years ago, almost to the day, I gave remarks at the 1993 CBC Foundation dinner. Over the years, it's been great to see this remarkable organization stand as an enduring champion and embodiment of our country's greatest promises. Whether it's narrowing health disparities or empowering the next generation of leaders, the CBC Foundation is committed to making sure every person in our country can fully contribute to and benefit from the American dream. I thank you for your leadership for helping every voice to be heard, for lifting our country toward greater prosperity. Since I've been out of office, I've devoted my time to helping other people to realize their dreams. I now know you can do a lot as a private citizen to advance the public good. There are always going to be gaps between what the private sector can produce and what government can provide. While you try to close the gap, I'm trying to step into it, just as the CBC Foundation does. So let's all keep working. We're lucky to be alive, lucky to have the opportunity to make a difference. Thanks again for this very great honor from an organization that I truly admire.
(1963), the most significant year of the struggle for civil rights. All across this nation, 1963 bore witness to the most tragic, inspiring, and hopeful moments of the civil rights movement. While we are familiar with those pivotal moments in time, 1963 produced widespread civil disobedience and demands for freedom throughout the South, from the Carolinas to Louisiana. Much was accomplished by the virtue of the personal sacrifices and tragedies of many of you in this room. Powerful water hoses turned on our children and our families to halt their march for freedom and equality. The senseless murder of Medgar Evers, the savage bombing of houses of worship that cruelly took the lives of 4 innocent young girls. The promise of the March on Washington for jobs and freedom, and the hope reflected in Reverend Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream. The extraordinary power of a moment that changed the nation and served as the inspiration to blacks in South Africa and other oppressed people in their struggle for freedom and equality. So tonight, the Congressional Black Caucus honors the strength, resilience, courage, hope, and tragic losses experienced by those who dared to challenge the racial status quo by demanding their full rights of American citizenship. We honor the spirit of 1963, and we renew our commitment to protect and preserve the progress achieved over the past 50 years. So join me as we watch this video celebrating the spirit of 1963.
Bayard Rustin, John Lewis, Fannie Lou Hamer, Dr. Dorothy Height, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. These are just some of the names and faces that would come to define the civil rights movement in American history. It was a new decade, and in the 3 years leading up to 1963, African Americans had found themselves burdened by their second-class status and frustrated with a long legacy of discrimination. Almost 100 years had passed since President Abraham Lincoln had signed the Emancipation Proclamation, yet America still suffered from painful racial divides that captured the collective consciousness of the nation. From the segregated South to the steps of the White House, 1963 proved to be a defining year. The Southern Regional Council estimated that there had been more than 930 demonstrations, 20,000 arrests, 35 racially motivated bombings, and 10 deaths directly related to the protests, including the assassination of NAACP leader Medgar Evers. In the spring of 1963, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. stood tall on the front lines of the struggle for civil rights. He and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference organized demonstrations and protests in one of the most racially segregated cities in the country, Birmingham, Alabama. It was during one of these protests that Dr. King was arrested for demonstrating without a permit. Once in prison, he composed the now famous Letter from a Birmingham Jail. Within this letter, he wrote, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Later that year, Dr. King, James Farmer, John Lewis, A. Philip Randolph, Roy Wilkins, and Whitney Young brought together a coalition of their organizations to form the Big Six. Many women, including Dr. Dorothy Height, worked tirelessly behind the scenes to support their efforts. Together with the organizational leadership of Bayard Rustin, they set forth a vision that would become the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom, where Dr. King gave his legendary I Have a Dream speech to over 250,000 people. King would refer to the march as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. The following year, the Civil Rights Act was signed into law. It has been 50 years since the pivotal events of 1963. As we look back with respect and admiration for the people who came together in the face of great adversity to change a nation, we are reminded of A. Philip Randolph's famous words, "Freedom is never given, it is won." This year's ALC Co-Chairs Phoenix Award is proudly dedicated to the spirit of 1963.
This award presented by Congresswoman Donna Edwards and Congressman Cedric Richmond.
Good evening. Those are the shoulders we stand on, and this evening we are so proud to present the award in the name of the spirit of 63, those men and women, courageous as they were, who lay the foundation for us for the future. To accept the award as a donation please welcome to the stage our colleague, our friend, our leader, our courageous civil rights hero, Representative John Lewis of Georgia.
To accept the award as a donation to the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture is Deputy Director Consortia Holman Conwell. 1963 was a turning point in the history of the American Civil Rights Movement. We must never, ever forget the spirit of 1963. In the early part of 1963, the governor of Alabama, Governor George C. Wallace, said, segregation today, segregation tomorrow, segregation forever. But the people in Birmingham, in Montgomery, in Selma, said no. Governor Wallace thought and believed that he had the upper hand. But Martin Luther King Jr., Ralph Abernathy, Fred Shuttleworth, and others had the upper hand. The young people, the students in Birmingham, had the upper hand. These young people, the children, put their bodies on the line. They participated in sit-ins, stand-ins, marches. They were arrested and jailed by the hundreds and by the thousand. Martin Luther King Jr., Ralph Abernathy, Fred Shuttleworth led a march on Good Friday. They were arrested and jailed. And Dr. King wrote a letter from the Birmingham jail. Bull Connor, the police commissioner, used dogs and fire hoses on young children and women. Governor Wallace stood in the door of the University of Alabama trying to block the entrance of 2 African-American students. Medgar Evers was assassinated in Mississippi. President Kennedy spoke to the nation and became the first president in the history of our country to say that the issue of civil rights is a moral issue. We had a meeting with the president at the White House. and we told him we were going to march on Washington. The president didn't like the idea of a march on Washington, but we said we were going to march, and it was going to be an orderly, peaceful march, and we did, by the hundreds and by the thousand. The spirit of 1963 changed America forever, and our country would never, ever be the same. We brought down those signs that said white, colored. Those signs are gone, and they will not return. Our country is a different country. Our country is a better country because of the spirit of 1963. Tell the story, embrace the story, and never ever forget what happened and how it happened. Thank you very much.
In April of 2008, I stood on a porch in front of a row home in West Philadelphia with a group of young children and Michelle Obama and Barack Obama. And at that moment in time, I'm not sure we could have envisioned what would unfold, but the auto industry's back, housing's back. Our young people are home from Iraq and they're coming home from Afghanistan. The president has added millions of new jobs to this economy with 41 consecutive months of job growth. This has been an extraordinary period in American and world history, and it's been led by a young man who is a humble but extraordinary public servant. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome the President of the United States of America and First Lady Michelle Obama.
Hello, CBC. Thank you so much, everybody. Please have a seat, have a seat. Michelle and I are happy to be here with such a good-looking crowd. Everybody's cleaning up nice. Thank you to Shaka Fatah for not just the great introduction, but more importantly, your leadership, especially on the issues of brain research that have the potential to change so many lives. I want to thank Shanice Washington and everybody at the CBC Foundation for doing so much to help all our young people achieve their God-given potential. I see so many friends here tonight, and obviously, these last several weeks have been momentous in a lot of ways. Many of you I had an opportunity to see, both hosting at the White House, but then at the actual anniversary, the 50th anniversary of the March on Washington. And it was a little rainy that day. We didn't have a nice roof over our heads, but that wasn't enough to keep all of you away. It wasn't enough to keep me away. It wasn't enough to keep folks from all across the country from coming out to pay tribute to not only Dr. King, not only John Lewis, not only the well-known heroes of the civil rights movement, but to all the ordinary Americans who made it possible for so many of us to stand here today. And as I looked out on that crowd, listening to Christine King Ferris and Reverend Lowry and Congressman Lewis, it was impossible not to appreciate just how much progress we've made. It was impossible not to think of all the hearts that have been opened, all the laws that have been changed, all thanks to the quiet heroes who refused to give up or give in. And as I said on that day, to dismiss the magnitude of that progress, to somehow suggest that little has changed, dishonors the courage and the sacrifice of all those who paid the price to march in those years. But what I also said, and I think there wasn't a speaker there that day or on Saturday in the other commemoration of the march who didn't make this point, we would also dishonor those heroes to suggest that the work of this nation is somehow complete. And that's something that the CBC has always understood. It wasn't until 1969, 6 years after the March on Washington, that African Americans in Congress formed a caucus. And by then, the Civil Rights Act had been passed, the Voting Rights Act had been signed, the civil rights movement had been successful in many ways, but the men and women who founded this caucus recognized what Dr. King understood: that equality is not just an abstraction. It's not just a formality. It has to go hand in hand with economic opportunity. That in order to address the enduring legacy of slavery and Jim Crow, we've got to make it easier for every American to earn their piece of the American dream. So fast forward to today, 50 years later. We all understand we have to be vigilant against any attempt to roll back our hard-won civil rights, whether that means tearing down barriers put up by those who seek to restrict the right to vote, or making sure our criminal justice system works equally well for everybody, not just for some. But at a time when black unemployment remains twice as high as white unemployment, at a time when working Americans of all races have seen their incomes and wages stagnate, even as corporate profits and the incomes of folks at the very top are soaring, we've got to pick up the torch of economic justice. We have to make this a country where anybody who works hard can earn their way into the middle class. And until we do, we will not let up and we will not rest. No matter how much resistance we get, we will keep on pressing forward. Because it's good for America. It's the right thing to do. We can't rest until every American knows the security of quality, affordable health care. In just over a week, thanks to the Affordable Care Act and the leadership shown by the CBC and others in Congress, so many of you fought to pass this law. Thanks to your efforts, 6 in 10 uninsured Americans will finally be able to get covered for less than $100 a month. Everybody's going to be able to get coverage. 6 in 10 will be able to get coverage for less than $100 a month. And by the way, the only reason it's 6 in 10 is because we got some governors who haven't seen the light yet. If every governor chose to join this project rather than to fight it just to score some political points, that number would be nearly 8 in 10. So just think about that. Knowing you can offer your family the security of health care, that's priceless. And now you can do it for less than your cell phone bill. That's what change looks like. We won't rest until every American has access to a good education. And we've got to make sure every child gets the best start in life. We want to give every 4-year-old in America access to quality preschool. There's no better investment. We should be making it right now. We can afford it. It's the right vision. It's the right time. We should make college more affordable for every family. There's no better ticket to the middle class in this country. And we've already made college, including HBCUs, more affordable for millions of students and their families through tax credits and grants and student loans that are going further than ever before, but we got more to do. And so I've been talking to colleges, telling them they need to do their part by bringing costs down, because in a 21st century economy, a higher education is not a luxury, it is an economic imperative, and everybody should be able to afford it, not just a few. We can't rest until we offer new ladders of opportunity for anyone willing to climb them. You know, when you think about America, when you think about the ideal of this country, a big part of it is the idea of upward mobility. The idea that if you work hard, you can get ahead. Well, over the last 30 years, upward mobility in this country has slipped out of reach for too many people. And that's especially true in communities with large African American populations. So we've got to do more to rebuild neighborhoods, help some of the hardest hit towns in America get back on their feet. We've got to raise the minimum wage. Nobody who works full time in the wealthiest nation on earth should have to raise their children in poverty. Those are fights we need to win. And finally, we can't rest until all of our children can go to school or walk down the street free from the fear that they will be struck down by a stray bullet. Just 2 days ago, in my hometown, Chicago, 13 people were shot during a pickup basketball game, including a 3-year-old girl. Tomorrow night, I'll be meeting and mourning with families in this city who now know the same unspeakable grief of families in Newtown and Aurora and Tucson and Chicago and New Orleans and all across the country, people whose loved ones were torn from them without headlines sometimes or public outcry, but it's happening every single day. We fought a good fight earlier this year, but we came up short. And that means we've got to get back up and go back at it, because as long as there are those who fight to make it as easy as possible for dangerous people to get their hands on guns, then we've got to work as hard as possible for the sake of our children. We've got to be ones who are willing to do more work to make it harder. These are the tasks before us. These are the challenges we face. It's a tall order, all of it. I know the odds sometimes seem long. I was taking photos with the CBC folks. Every one of them came up and said, "Oh, you hang in there. You hang in there, man." And I said, "Don't worry about me. I am still fired up because I still see the work that needs to be done." The work didn't go away. And part of the reason that I don't get tired is because I've seen people who are in this audience and what you've done, the odds that you've overcome. You know, I know sometimes the climb seems steep at any given moment. Sometimes it seems like the pettiness of our politics just is making things worse and worse. You look at it right now. The other day, the House Republicans voted to cut $40 billion in nutritional aid for struggling families. At the same time as some of the same folks who took that vote
are receiving subsidies themselves. So farm subsidies for folks at the top are okay. Help feeding your child is somehow not. I know the CBC, led by outstanding Chairwoman Marcia Fudge, fought hard to protect those programs that keep so many children from going hungry. And now we're seeing an extreme faction of these folks convincing their leadership to threaten to shut down the government if we don't shut down the Affordable Care Act. Some of them were actually willing to see the United States default on its obligations and plunge this country back into a painful recession if they can't deny the basic security of health care to millions of Americans. Now, I think that this is an interesting thing to ponder, that your top agenda is making sure 20 million people don't have health insurance. And you'd be willing to shut down the government and potentially default for the first time in United States history because it bothers you so much that we're actually going to make sure that everybody has affordable health care. Well, let me say as clearly as I can, it is not going to happen. We have come too far. We've overcome far darker threats than those. We will not negotiate over whether or not America should keep its word and meet its obligations. We're not going to allow anyone to inflict economic pain on millions of our own people just to make an ideological point. And those folks are going to get some health care in this country. We've been waiting 50 years for it. It's time for these folks to stop governing by crisis, start focusing on what really matters. Creating new jobs, growing our economy, expanding opportunity for ourselves, looking after our children, doing something about the violence out there. As we've got all these battles we have to face, we've got to remember what brought us here in the first place. And as I was preparing my speech for the anniversary last month, I was doing some research, reading some stories about people who had come to the march 50 years ago, and I came across the story of a young man named Robert Avery. And Robert was 15 years old in 1963, so he and two friends decided to hitchhike from Gadsden, Alabama, to the March on Washington. And together they traveled through some of the most segregated counties in America, sleeping in bus terminals, eating from vending machines, sometimes not eating. Sometimes they walked. Sometimes passerbys, black and white, offered them rides, worried that they might not make it on their own. 700 miles later, the boys from Gadsden reached their destination. They marched with Dr. King, and it left a mark on them. And afterwards, Robert went back home to Alabama, and he's now spent the last 3 decades on the Gadsden City Council. And Robert Avery's here tonight. And in some ways, Robert's story is duplicated all across this room. Now, Dr. King talked about how we're inextricably linked. Robert Kennedy talked about how if you toss a pebble in a pond, the ripples emanate from that center, and the same is true in our own lives, how those ripples of hope, we don't know sometimes how they're going to have an impact on folks later, but all those tiny ripples build up and end up changing the world. So when I think about Robert Avery in the city council, and I'm sure he's got his struggles and frustrations,
Just like a president of the United States has struggles and frustrations sometimes, but he's still coming to work every day. He's still working to bring about change every single day. Just like our Attorney General comes to work every single day. Just like John Lewis every single day gets up, it doesn't matter whether he's in the majority or the minority, he's going to speak the truth. He's going to tell everybody what he believes. And those stories should remind us what brought us here. Why'd we seek a life of public service? Why'd we get involved? It wasn't just to come to a gala. I mean, it's nice, everybody looks nice, but you know, it wasn't to cash in after service. We may not have hitchhiked across the country, but everybody at some point, we felt that same tug, that same voice in our heads telling us, stand up, speak out, try to make a difference. Remember what you know to be true, what you know to be just, what you know to be fair, and be willing to fight for it, and don't be timid about it. And maybe sometimes it's not going to work out right away, but if you stay at it again and again and again, and you do not waver, eventually we make a difference. That's important. Because while all our challenges are different from the ones faced by previous generations, we're going to need the same courage of a Robert Avery, or a Bayard Rustin, or a Joyce Ladner, all those marchers from 50 years ago, the same desire to get involved, the same courage to make our voices heard, to stand up for whether it's quality health care or good education or our children's safety or equal opportunity. We're going to have to keep marching. And I'm proud that I'll be, at least for the next 3.5 years here in Washington, and then a whole lot of years after that, I'm going to be marching with you. God bless you, everybody. Thank you. God bless America.
Another round of applause for all of our awardees tonight.
Come on, give it up for the awardees. Come on. Come on. We want to thank you all for coming out tonight. It's a special night. The president gave us our marching orders, our call to action. So let each one teach one and reach one and go out to our homes, our cities, our states, and in this nation, and make sure that we are the ones that precipitate this change.
It's been an incredible evening tonight. I hope that you've all enjoyed the inspiration, the stories. As we said at the beginning of the program, this is about the past, the present, but it certainly is most importantly about our future, the young people that we are here to inspire and give direction to.
But even with all of those most important moments and calls to action, one of the great moments that happened tonight was the opportunity for me to share the stage with the one and only Tamron Hall. Let's hear it for Tamron Hall, one of the finest journalists in America today, and someone who made me look good tonight.
Well, apparently the evening has turned into a love fest. I know that many of you have a lot planned. I want to say a special thank you to the Chicagoans who are here. I lived there for 10 years of my life. And to those from New York, and of course, without the great state of Texas, where would I be? It's been an incredible evening. It's been a pleasure to share the stage with Wendell. I want to celebrate his work that he's done after Hurricane Katrina and helping the people in what I consider my second home, one of the best cities in America, New Orleans. You're a great man, and it was great to share the stage with you. We're very proud of your work on the big screen and, of course, on NBC. So that leads me to thank my NBC family and my Comcast family, David Cohen, and everyone who's here to support the Congressional Black Caucus.
And let's not forget all the people of New Orleans who were here and represented here tonight. I would like to thank the congressman from the great state of Louisiana, Representative Cedric Richmond. I would like to thank Stephanie and Marlon Jordan, who were wonderful. They were swinging. Mr. Paul Grosvenor, who started the events this evening with a wonderful rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner.
And last but not least, the Clarence Knight Orchestra.
Let's hear it for the Clarence Knight Orchestra.
Thank you, sirs.
Y'all can do better than that. Clarence Knight Orchestra, everybody.
Everybody have a good night and enjoy your night, and please be safe. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
See you at the party.
Over